Hi everybody, greetings from Sarah, coming to you today to show you how I made a covered notebook like this one from an earlier video. This is the one we're going to be making today. So I've got a covered I've got a regular notebook here that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I made this one myself. It's pretty easy to do. You just cut whatever sort of paper you want in your notebook. This one happens to be copy paper. You just cut it to the size you want it. So for me, I used 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 since it's 1/4 of the sheet. And then I got a piece of chipboard from a scrap and cut that down to the same size. And then I used a paintbrush and painted some Mod Podge glue across the top here, and used clips and placed it between 2 heavy books so that it could dry, and I left it for about 24 hours. And you could see that the paper soaked in the glue and got a little wrinkly, but we're going to cover that today with today's video. So what I have for you today is some very vanilla cardstock, linen thread, and then the Floral Romance DSP, the designer series paper. And this is vellum, it's printed. It's so pretty. And then the wood grain and our cover for our notebook. So I've gone ahead and scored this at 1 inch and 1 1/4 inches so that we can put it over the top of our notebook. You want to use a bone folder to crease the score lines so that it's nice and crisp and you get some pretty angles when you put it together. Okay, and then you want to use some liquid glue, and you want that to go right on this piece at the top here. So we're going to place our notebook at the first score line face down and fold that piece right over. Line it up on the left and the right. Okay, and our cover is ready. Now we can use our snail. Let me just move this out of the way here. And we can adhere this designer series paper. All of our designer series paper is double-sided, so you get one print on one side and a different print on the other side. So if you don't like half the prints in the paper, hopefully you like half the prints on the other sides of the paper. And then we're just going to layer this onto the cover just like that. Okay. And then for this, usually for vellum, I like to put the adhesive behind something that I'm mounting over. But because of the printing on here, my adhesive won't show through. It's a pretty cool feature. So I'm just going to go through and put snail behind all of these little printed pieces. I want to be sure to get it in and near my corners. Okay, so I've got snail pretty much everywhere. And then I just have to decide which way I want these to face. I like that flower at the top there. Okay, and stick that down. All right, we are almost done. I'm going to use the Blushing Bride, I'm sorry, this is powder pink paper. It's brand new color. And this is the Everyday Label Punch. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this in half so that I can use it behind my Very Vanilla piece of cardstock, because the Very Vanilla is a little bit too wide. So for stamps today, I'm going to be using the Pressed Flowers stamp set. This is a Hostess set in the annual catalog. So when you hostess a party or a workshop or a class, you can earn this with your hostess dollars. It's not purchasable with regular dollars. And then the saying comes from this stamp right here, from All Good Things. And I'll show you how to get just the words in just a second. So I want my flowers to be one color and my stems to be another color. So I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow Stampin' Write marker. I'm going to use the brush tip, which has the wider stripe on the end than the pen tip, which has a narrow stripe. And I'm using the side of my marker to apply ink directly to my stamp. And I only want to color the green where the stem is going to be. Don't worry if you get the ink on the sides of the stamp, because it's not going to show through when you stamp it. No one's going to know you inked the side. Make sure you get all the parts of your image, because if you don't ink it, it won't stamp. Okay, and then when you're happy with your coverage, you can move on to the flowers. And we're going to use the Blackberry Bliss for this one. Again, use the brush tip in the side of your marker and color everywhere you want to see the Blackberry Bliss to stamp. We use this same technique for the faux watercolor technique as well, but we spritzed that with water. And today we're not going to spritz it, we're just going to stamp it right down. So when you are coloring your stamp with the marker, you want to be sure to breathe on the stamp, puff on it before you stamp it down, so that you re-moisten all of this green ink that you started with. All right, so here's my Very Vanilla. And then stamp right down. And lift it straight up. And there you have a beautiful two-tone image from one stamp. So I'm going to use the same technique to ink just the black, just the words. And I'm going to use my black marker. All right. And then when you're satisfied with your coverage, you just, my twine is getting in the way. When you're satisfied with your coverage, you just breathe on it. And stamp it down in that open space there. There you have it. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over, and as I told you, I'm going to use the powder pink paper on either side. Using my grid paper to line it up so that I can tell that it looks even on either side. And then from the front of the project, you won't ever be able to tell that it's two halves of a cardstock. I'm going to layer this up with dimensionals so that it sticks out a little bit from the project. Okay, so once you get all the backs off the dimensionals, you can use the twine and spread it around your fingers like this. And then layer it onto the dimensionals so that it sticks out from your project. Okay, and then this can go right on the front of your notebook. I hope this inspires you to get out your stamps and create something today. Bye.